When the Vault Dweller walked out of this cave, it was the first time their eyes had seen natural light. They'd never even met anyone who'd set foot outside the vault. All they knew was that somewhere to the east was another vault, and that there might be a functioning water chip there. Between here and Vault 15 was a little town called Shady Sands. It was probably the Vault Dweller's first contact with anyone from the outside, and it was where they met their first true friend, Ian. Before he ended up in Shady Sands, Ian worked as a guard for the Crimson Caravan. In those days, there was no NCR around here to keep the law. No law at all once you were outside of town. Every man just lived by his own creed. Ian believed in an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. He always paid his debts. He never shot a man in the back, on purpose. But others in the wasteland lived by a different code, a more predatory view of human interaction. They became raiders and preyed on the trading caravans. In these parts, the worst of them were the jackals, the vipers, and the cons. Although he was very enthusiastic about the job, his career as a guard came to an abrupt end due to a gunshot injury. Ian was spared the usual fate of a wounded man left alone in the wasteland. The good folk of Shady Sands found him and treated his wounds. He stayed on with them to repay the debt. He protected the town from raiders and the occasional rad scorpion. When the Vault Dweller passed through Shady Sands a couple of years later, Ian joined their search for a water chip. Not because he sensed it was destiny, or that the fate of the whole wasteland was at stake. He just wanted to earn a few caps. But Ian stuck with the Vault Dweller through many events that seemed too dangerous for the money. The two were more than just a mercenary and his employer. They had become friends, which made the events of Necropolis all the more tragic. The Vault Dweller's own memoirs say that Ian died in Necropolis, sacrificed himself so that his companions could survive the fight against the super mutants. Although witness accounts of that event do conflict somewhat. But I like to think that Ian died valiantly and carried his weight on the team despite his troubles with marksmanship. Yup, we best be moving on. Folk around here aren't friendly to anyone in power armor. Probably shouldn't have come this deep into NCR territory, but I couldn't resist the chance to grab an authentic Vault 13 canteen.
Don't move. You're illegally prospecting on restricted NCR property. Stay on the ground and keep your hands visible.
I was not scavenging. Okay, maybe I was scavenging. There are 40 of these in a big box.
So you're a liar and a thief. You want to know what we do to thieves in these parts?
Well, in the back when times, thieving could have been met with a variety of punishments. Thieves have always existed in all cultures. The consequences for stealing are often severe. Generally, stealing is considered immoral. Morality is an explanation of how the world ought to be, and comes from the Latin word moralis, which refers to rules or laws for what is right or wrong.
Wait, what?
There are, however, rational explanations for why people steal. Perhaps the establishment, the government, or the justice system is weak, or the social order is in chaos due to war or catastrophe. I submit to you, gentlemen, Exhibit A, the wasteland and the apocalypse that caused it. Such situations change our general perception of right and wrong, leading to the abandonment of law and order.
Dude, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but I'm about 1 second away from putting a bullet through that pretty power armor of yours.
Stand down. He has that weird eyebot with him, and he's wearing that weird power armor. I think this is the guy that Ranger Tanner's looking for.
Didn't know I was famous. Of course, You Rangers make it your business to know who's who in the wasteland.
You, shut up.
I think you might be right. You're coming with us.
Well, it doesn't look like I have much of a choice. Come on, Edna. We'll be fine. The NCR doesn't allow the torture of prisoners. So they say anyway. The NCR calls you boys Rangers, but did you know you aren't the first ones to use that title? Rangers were an old world idea, but that is a story for...
Shut up!